Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for introducing me to this event. And also, it's my great honor to be here to share with you some development happened in China. So during the lunchtime, one of our friends from media asked me, how do you compare the AI development China and Korea? I told him that I think we are on the same page. We started about the same time, but given the size of the country and the number of the population, I think China is doing in a more scaled way. Like in China this September, we just have our second AI conference. Here this morning I heard Koreans have your second AIIC. So we are about the same, but let me spend a couple minutes to share with you the latest development, the AI development happened in China. Let me start with a short video clip.
Chinese folks and people around the world, thank you. I'm very happy to meet you here. It's a great thing to build a better world with artificial intelligence. AI first. 第一次来到中国，我非常高兴。世界智能大会真的很棒。
Okay, this is a joke, but the technology is real. This technology is brought by a leading Chinese intelligent voice company called iFlyTech. So this is a real technology that's happening right now in China. And this kind of a speech synthesis, or we call text-to-speech technology, is one of the key applications of the AI. And it can be replaced the job of the hostess, right? But it adds more value to us. This is just one of the examples. There are hundreds of AI applications happening right now in China. And we will see from 2017 to the year 2020, the AI growth output will be in a 10-fold growth rate. It developed really in a fast way. So as everybody understands, the fourth revolution of science and technology is coming. So this AI technology is coming from the scientific movie into our daily life. Especially in the year 2016, when AlphaGo beat the human, then every country realized that AI is one of each nation's key competitiveness. So this becomes a spontaneous moment for China. The government, after that, the government has launched a series of policy to help the industry to develop the AI. So for China, we consider this AI as our strategic opportunity, which can tackle the challenges from the aging population, to face the challenge of the transformation of our economic structure. So this becomes a real key initiatives the Chinese government is taking from top down. Not only in the central government, each of the provincial government, they spend a lot of effort to promoting this kind of technology. So we have a target by the year 2020, the AI growth output will be increased in 10 times fold. So let me share with you some data about the current AI development in China. As I said, given the number of a population and given the size of the country, China is leading the way in this. So in the number of AI papers, China accounts about 1/3 of the world. The AI patent granted, it's the world #1. In this area, China, US, and Japan accounts for 2/3 of the world total AI patent. For the AI talents, a lot of people mentioned this morning that AI talents is a key to AI's development. So in China, the AI talents, the professionals accounts for about the number 2. It's total about 18,000, but that's not enough. And those the key talent are still in the US. So China is still catching up. And for the companies to deal with the AI in China, we have about 1,000, but it's still the number 2. US is double or even triple. And also the investment. The money, a lot of money is coming toward this AI. For China, we account about 60% of the world total investment in the AI industry. Also, the AI market size. By the end of last year, we estimate that there's about 3.3 billion in China. By the year 2025, it can be 60 million. By the year 2030, our estimation is 150 billion. So it's a huge market. Also, given its growth rate, it will help the Chinese economy to grow in a fastest way. So AI is not a technology. For China, we think it's related to the industrialization and the manufacturing power. So that's why government is launched a series of the policy to help the whole industry to grow. And also from technology point of view, we do it phase by phase. So the first phase, the policy will phase on the IoT, and then big data, and then eventually will be the AI. So in China, we understand what's our key strengths and what's not. So mainly we will focus on 4 areas. We will focus on to developing the hardware, the chips, like in this morning, the scientist from Nevada said that the hardware is driven the AI development. So China has also spent a lot of effort on the chips. And the second important thing is the data. We need a huge amount of data to support the machine learning, those kind of applications. And the third is the algorithm. I think, especially for the Asian countries, we can have this kind of advantage to spend more efforts on the algorithm to make the AI more advanced. And lastly is the ecosystem, because AI is not a single thing, not a single technology. It's related to many things. So we need to build out an ecosystem to support this industry to develop. This morning, Ms. Chen from Singapore government also mentioned that we cannot do everything at the same time. We need to start from the small things, small use cases. So in the following 10 to 15 minutes, I would like to share with you some very good use cases happening in China regarding the AI. In this event, some people also talking about self-driving cars, those kind of things. China is also leading in this area. So for China, we already have those L3, L4 level prototype self-driving cars. But toward it's commercialized, it still takes time. But in China, we do things a little bit differently, because we are not only focusing our effort on the car itself, we try to build a system. In a technology way, we say we try to promote the V2X technology. So the intelligence is not happening only on the car itself, but we try to leverage the whole system to provide the more intelligent. Like the car needs to talk to the road, the other infrastructure, so that the car can have more intelligence than ever. So in Shanghai, government already allocated a certain area. It's an open area to test those kind of self-driving cars. And also, we will try to build a data center to support this, because this V2X technology needs a lot of data to communicate. So that's why we need to spend to invest a data center to support this kind of applications. So in this area, China is leading the way. Second is the intelligent service robot. This is kind of popular, I think, already, like the iRobot in the home. But in China, the company you may heard about, Xiaomi, they already have the similar product. It may be the half of the price, but it really performed. And not only at home, but this kind of robot is already existing in the industry. Like in the manufacturing, we have a robot to do the assembly line. In the seaport in Shanghai, the robot will handle about 400 million containers a year. Also, you can see the drones. Mentioned this morning, we already using the drones for taking the movies, but not only limited to this kind of usage in the entertainment. In the power industry, in China, we are using drones to do the patrolling the power line to do the inspection. We use this intelligent drone to do some agricultural works. So it already becomes a ready solution, a very mature solution now. At the healthcare, I think the machine, the AI technology can help a lot than the human power for those diagnostic systems. I think people sometimes may be impatient when he reads so many those kind of images. But for the machine, it never tired. It can do it on and on. So I think a lot of advantages to use the AI in the healthcare is also the vision recognition side. It's already very, very popular in China, especially in those surveillance use cases. Also, the translation, those kind of things. In China, we already have a lot of this kind of hand device. When Chinese people travel out, they are using this kind of device to do the translation. It becomes also becomes a ready application. So the AI application in China not only limited to here. There's more we can talk. Like in the finance industry, we already have those chatbot. So about 90% of the finance company, they are using this kind of AI technology for the call centers. So when we have some questions, when we call to the bank, most of the time it's a robot to respond to you. It already works. Also, like in the traffic, the traffic industry, China has many those kind of AI applications. They already took over the traffic light. The traffic light is already taken by those machines to control it. So there's many those kind of applications. But today I would like also to share with you some very interesting applications we are deploying now in China, especially in Shanghai. We use those AI, IoT, big data knowledge, big data technology to do the city management. One of the famous American economists and the Nobel Prize winner, Joseph Eugene Stiglitz, he ever said that urbanization and the technology will be the two keys to influence the human development in the 21st century. So in China, we combine those two, the urbanization and the technology, to use it in the city management scenario. So this is a kind of a dashboard in a community center in China, in Shanghai. The city government, the district government is using this IoT, big data, and AI technology to manage the city. There is a famous movie called Westworld. I don't know if anyone of you have ever watched that. It's talk about this. Eventually, the city won't be managed by the people. It will be managed by the robot. But before we do this smart city project, there is one thing we need to deploy first, is this we call the digital twin. So if we try to leverage the technology to help this, we need to reflect everything happening in the real world into the virtual world. So that's why we need to build a sensor network. Then we can reflect everything happening in the real world into the virtual world. Once we have this sensor network, then we can understand everything happening in each corner of the city. And then we aggregated this data to a data lake. On top of this data lake, we build different kind of applications, like the transportation, like the public asset management, like the healthcare, like the environment protection, like the food security, on and on. And the most important thing is, on top of that, there will be a city brain. eventually everything will be managed by this city brain. And the city brain at least can have the one function as to do the forecast. If this thing happen, then what thing will be happen the next? This will be done by the machine. This also will change the process of the city management. So I'll give you a few examples of what we've done here in Shanghai. In Shanghai, in Jinan district, there's a district, not a big, considered moderate district in Shanghai. It's about 36 square kilometers. In these areas, we deployed about 200,000 sensors. Those 200,000 sensors will monitor about 20-some different kind of things. Take example of this community center. In the community center, we are using the sensors for the door access, a residential area's door access, each of buildings' door access. We build the sensors for the smoke detectors. We build the sensors in the water tank on top of each of the building to detect the water quality the people are drinking. Also, we build the sensors into each of the lift so we can understand if there's anything wrong with the lift. We build the sensors onto the restricted area for parking, because in China, there are many people have cars, but the parking space is limited. Sometimes they just park in the fire exit. It's not allowed, so we build the sensors onto the ground. Once the car was parked there, in 3 minutes' time, the people will involved will let them know it cannot be parked. Even if there is, when the rainy day, if the road is flooded, then we have the sensor can tell. So we can send people quickly to manage this. Most important thing is not only to those public assets. In this morning, Mr. Chen from Singapore government, he also mentioned those aging people, those senior citizens who live alone in the apartment. Whenever there's a problem happen, it will be a big issue, and we cannot find it immediately. Now we are leveraging this kind of technology to help to manage those people. Like in those kind of homes, government will send the 5 types of different sensors into the home. It's not a wearable device. They don't need to take care of those devices. But with those types of devices, we can do an algorithm at the back end to determine whether this person is in a good condition or not. At the door, we have a door accessor sensor. If this door doesn't open for a certain period of time, then we decided there will be some issues. There will be alerts sent to the community center. We also have this fire alarms, the fire detectors, smoke detectors, and also have the infrared in his living room. If we detected there is no moving signal for a certain period of time, then we can decide we need to send someone to take a look. And the most important thing is that we have a sensor built on the bed. The sensor can detect the heartbeats, the breath, those kind of information. So with all those at the back end, we are using an algorithm to calculate whether this senior citizen is living okay or not. So with those kind of technology, we can manage those healthcare issues in a very efficient way. Also for those specific area, like this shopping center, we are leveraging IoT, big data, and AI technology to do the flow control. In this shopping area is one of the example. Another example is in the high-speed train station. So there's different types of traffic will coming in and out. It's very different. It's very difficult to understand how many people exactly in this area at this moment. Now we are leveraging this kind of technology to help. We do the joint calculation. How many people will bring by the high-speed train? How many people will bring by the buses? How many people will bring by the taxis? And even in each of the exit door, we are using the sensors. We are using the cameras to do the people counting. So by doing this, we can have a very clear understanding on how many people in this specific area. Also, if we add more attributes to those kind of the information for each of the person, like in this shopping district, we can understand how many revenue happens each day. And also we can feedback a lot more information into the small management or the government so they can understand how to work out a much better smart shopping center easily. So those are the real happening AI, big data, and IoT applications right now happening in China. Once we've done this in Shanghai, we will also replicate this kind of reference to each provinces of China. So in summary, that if we want to develop the AI, AI is not a technology alone. We also need to consider those three types of important aspects. Data, of course, is the key, because we need the data to train the machine to do the machine learning. We also need the connectivity. We need the sensors to understand what's happening in each corner of the world. And the most important thing I would like to mention is this computing power. I remember someone this morning have mentioned this. Computing power is like the electricity in the 20th century. It's like the river in the previous industrial revolution. This is the key infrastructure which will affect how you develop the AI technology. Like the use case for the self-driving cars, if we don't have enough computing power to help it, it cannot calculate the things in a quick way. But the computing power is also a restricted resources. Like in Shanghai, government won't allow to invest more data centers because of the environmental protection requirement. So remember, this computing power eventually will also become a key competitiveness of each of the city, each of the nation. So if we focus on AI, we will also need to take care about this data, connectivity, and the computing power requirement. At last, I would like to summarize my presentation with this famous AI scientist, Chinese-American AI scientist in Stanford, Fei Li. He ever says the AI technology has no border, neither do its benefit if we do everything rightly. This is related to the AI ethics, AI safety, those kind of issues. When we focus on the technology side, we need to also focus on other areas so we can make the AI more perfect. Okay, thank you.